All right, it's 2:05. What do you
Okay,
think? Should we go
yeah.
ahead and get started?
See you on the tour.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining us. We will get started with the tour in just a few seconds. If you have any questions during the tour, there will be a Q&A afterwards. We are excited to chat with you all. And if you have any questions that come up during the tour, feel free to type it in the chat and we will do everything we can to answer your questions. So with that, I will hand it off to Rachel for the tour.
Hi everybody, welcome to Terra Cultura. We are so excited to show you around, so thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. So first, I want to thank you. We're about to show you everything we're up to, and none of it could happen without you. So thank you all for your support of our organization, for being here and showing up, and everything you do to make all of this happen, because we think we're having really cool ripple effects on the land, in our communities, and we want to keep growing our impact, and you're letting us do that. So thank you for the impact that you have on the community. I think some of you have been here before and some of you are visiting from far away. So first I want to set the scene a little bit. We are in California, up north, about an hour south of San Francisco. We're in San Benito County, and as you can see, San Benito is a lot of grasslands, a lot of Monterey pine and oak, and we're in a small town called Aromas, population about 3,000 people. And we're on a property that's about 5.5 acres, mostly a hill, and mostly very sandy. And we're standing right now in the front acre, which has been our main focus. And we'll take you around, kind of walk you around this front area, and that tour is going to start over in the pollinator garden. Then we're going to wander over to our fields where we're growing our winter crop. Then we're going to take you up and introduce you to the chickens and tell you a little bit about infrastructure, and then we're going to show you the yurts and take you inside one, and that will be our tour. So again, thank you for being with us, and now I'm going to hand it off to Jessica.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica. I'm so happy to be here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start off by acknowledging the peoples who stewarded these lands for tens of thousands of years before we arrived. Terra Cultura is on the unceded territory of the Mutsun-speaking Mutsum tribe. So just taking a moment to honor them and express gratitude. The descendants of the people who were here thousands and thousands of years ago are still very active in our community, and we're grateful for the work they're doing. Here on the land, more recently, it was used as a horse grazing property, and they were raising rabbits and chickens, and I will show you those buildings. Those were the only two buildings here when we arrived. But more importantly, the land was incredibly degraded. So the only thing here was sand and hill and a whole lot of horehound, which if you live in Aromas you're probably familiar with. It grows in only the worst soils. And our neighbors have told us and shown us images to prove it, but erosion was a huge problem here. Because there were no roots in the ground holding the topsoil in place, it would wash down into the road during the rainy season, which is why there's only sand here. The only thing left behind was sand. It looks a little bit like a desert or a beach. You can see here, I can show you a bit more later. But so our first efforts when we got onto the land were all surrounding building up the soil. And rehabilitating the natural ecosystem that exists in Aromas and San Benito County, which had not been existing here because of the state of the land and the state of the soil. One of the ways we did that was through our pollinator garden. This probably looks familiar to some of you because you planted all of these plants. Thank you so much. It was a huge volunteer effort. We also got funding from a couple organizations. The Xerces Society donated 1,600 monarch habitat plants. So you probably know that the monarch butterfly is incredibly endangered at the moment. And so we're grateful to be helping out, providing them a place to be and thrive. Let's see, oh, here's some aster. These are one of the plants that we planted. This aster's blooming right now. And we also planted goldenrod. You can see some of that around. It's gone to seed here, so hopefully we'll have much more goldenrod next season. We also planted milkweed, coyote mint, solidago, some other pollinators that will really help the monarchs, so it's exciting to be a part of that effort. We also got funding through the CDFA, the California Department of Food and Agriculture, through their Healthy Soils program, which gave us funding to implement a number of practices, and one of those was hedgerows. So between the hedgerow plants we planted and the pollinators, we have a really solid start at creating spaces that will invite insects and pollinators and lizards and birds and all sorts of native flora and fauna that will then help us to rebuild this natural ecosystem here on the land, which all results in building up the soil, and everything goes back to the health of the soil. So that's excellent news for us. We're very excited about it. So I can take you over to our fields to show you a little bit more about how we've been building up the soil in our food producing areas on the land, and show you a few things along the way as well. Here's the purple building on our right is the rabbit hutch. We call it the hutch. It was one of only 2 buildings on the land when we got here, like I mentioned. So the other one was a chicken coop, so we call that one the coop. The rabbit hutch is currently our office and gathering space, and the coop is our storage shed. It's where we keep all our farm tools and supplies. These buildings were both falling apart when we got here. We actually thought about demolishing them, and then realized, you know, why get rid of a good thing? We realized they were much more solid than they looked, and they just needed a little bit of love, so we cleaned them out and mucked them out and put on a new roof and a new floor, and we're all about conserving resources here on the land, so that was one of our efforts to do that. Another thing we've been doing to conserve resources is our rainwater barrels. We just put in this rainwater catchment system a couple months ago. These are both 5,500 gallon buckets. We use them to water our pollinators and our raised garden bed, which I'll show you. One of the other things we've been doing on the land to conserve water is it was the way we addressed our erosion problem. So we've also installed several berms and swales, so kind of ditches and mounds that allow us to catch the water and slow it and spread it and sink it so we can use it on site, but it also stops the water from bringing all the soil down into the road. We've also planted cover crop, which I'll tell you a little bit more about when we get to the terraces, but that also puts roots in the ground and holds the soil in place during those rainy season months. If you can take a look, I know I showed you the sand already, but here's another good patch here. This is what the entire land looked like when we arrived. So you can see it's really just a beach or a sand dune. Like there was 0.1% organic matter, I think, in the soil when we first got here. So I'll compare that in a little bit to what we've got in the fields now. These are our raised garden beds. We built these and decorated them with the help of Aromas children at the last Aromas Day. And the idea is that these are accessible and kind of a microcosm of what we're doing in the fields. So all of the agricultural practices we're implementing in the fields are also done in these raised beds. And the idea is that since our fields are a bit tricky to navigate, steep, they're narrow, this provides people an opportunity to learn about how we're growing and our methods, regardless of what their abilities, their physical abilities are. So we're always trying to make Terra Cultura more accessible and welcoming, and that's one of our efforts. I just mentioned cover crop. Our fields look a little bare at the moment, and it's because we just transitioned over from our summer and fall crop to our cover crop. So just a couple days ago, we pulled out most of the plants that were here and planted several, a mix of a bunch of different kinds of plants that will put nutrients in the soil. We've got some legumes, which are nitrogen fixers, and some deep-rooted plants that will hold our soil in place for us and pull up other nutrients. And then eventually, we have wildflowers which will bloom and attract more of those native fauna, those pollinators and insects. And then when we terminate the cover crop, we'll incorporate it back into the soil to add organic matter to help support that healthy soil ecosystem, which is essential to everything we do here. That was something else that was funded by the CDFA Healthy Soils program, in addition to compost application and mulch and practices that we were going to implement anyway, but we're grateful for their support also. And as you can see, we've got these kind of unusual terraces. So when we first arrived, we knew that we'd have to do something about the slope, and what most people do is cut into the hillside, but we decided, since we knew we'd have to build the soil up anyway, we decided to build up. So we used materials mostly on site. We had to take down a few eucalyptus trees to make room for our fledgling food forest, and we used those branches to create these kind of barriers, these walls, and then we did layers of carbon-rich twigs and dried leaves, and then nitrogen-rich horse manure from the local horse rescue down the road, and we mulched it, and we added compost, and we cover cropped it. And in that first year alone, our organic matter went from the 0.1% sand I had shown you before to this rich, dark, full of life soil. It had 7% organic matter in just 1 year. So you can smell it. It smells delicious. It smells like earth. It's so wonderful, not like a beach. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's very exciting to see the progress we're making, and all of these opportunities have given us a chance to share what we're learning with the local community. So we've been doing workshops on sequestering carbon. All of these practices that we're implementing through the Healthy Soils program are sequestering carbon from the atmosphere, keeping it into the soil. So not only are we building up and restoring the ecosystem, we're also having an impact on climate change, which is very exciting. And so we've done climate smart agricultural workshops. We've had many volunteer opportunities. Thank you again to those of you who have been volunteers and who have supported those efforts. So yeah, grateful for these opportunities to learn and share what we're learning. While we're here next to this kale plant, I'm gonna grab a few leaves since we're headed up to visit the chickens. They're big fans of kale. You can see that it's a little, things are a little brown here this time of year. It's our driest time of year. We've only gotten 1 rain so far, which is very exciting, but not enough to turn it all green. In the spring, this area is covered in wildflowers. We'll have to have you back. But the reason we have all these kind of dead weeds around is because another piece of building up the natural habitat and rebuilding that healthy soil ecosystem is keeping roots in the ground. The more you can keep the ground covered and keep things growing and keep roots in the ground, the faster the natural ecosystem will kind of bounce back and rehabilitate itself. You may be wondering why we chose this rather challenging plot for Terra Cultura. And we had that thought too. When we first started looking for land, we thought a lot about what makes prime agricultural land, and this is not it. The steep slope, the sandy soil, the erosion issues creates a lot of challenges. But because our mission is education, we realized that it also provided a lot of opportunity. So in California, farmland is incredibly expensive and increasingly rare. So much of it is getting developed so quickly. So a lot of aspiring farmers cite land access as one of their biggest barriers to entry in this profession. And so we figured there'd be many more farmers who kind of are in situations where they have to settle for less than ideal farmland. And anything we could do to support young farmers, we are in favor of. 60% of farmers right now are over the age of 65, and there are very few people who are interested in entering this field. So we decided that if we could figure out how to make a site like this food producing and share that knowledge and inspire future generations of farmers, then we should do it. So we're working on it, we're learning a lot, and we're sharing everything we learn. So hopefully we will inspire many, many more people to grow our food. One piece of that we want to incorporate is the role animals play in agriculture. And so here comes Travis to introduce us to our chickens.
Hey guys.
Who we're very excited about.
So yeah, it is my privilege to be able to introduce you guys to some of our animal ambassadors here on the farm, our chickens, which are very excited about this kale. Thank you, Jessica. And yeah, come on in. And it's snack time, girls. Got some kale for you. Here you go. So this one right here is Harriet. Here you go. Yeah. And then we got Angie and Belle over here. And then this one with the brown chest is Emma. And then in the corner there, is Dolores. So here you go, girls. Enjoy. And we're particularly excited about the chickens these days. They're about 22 weeks old, which means that they are officially of egg-laying age. So let's come take a look, see what we got for today. Oh, exciting. We've got 2. Very nice. Thanks, girls. This will make a lovely breakfast. We're excited. So yeah, the chickens we think of as friends and ambassadors, but they also play a really big role in teaching an educational concept that we hold dear here on the farm, which is the concept of closing the loop in our food system. So we here on the farm employ a holistic agricultural model that instead of relying on external inputs like, for example, chicken feed, industrial chicken feed, or chemical fertilizer out in the field, things like that, we try really to rely more on stuff that happens here on the farm. So for example, taking scraps from the field and bringing it up to the chickens so that they have food, and taking the waste from the chickens and converting it into compost for the next season's crop. Things like that, really just keeping the nutrients here on site and closing that loop and really building the resilience of the soil here on the land. Let's see, yeah, speaking of that, this site over here is the future site. We're working on this project probably early next year. This is going to be the site of our future outdoor kitchen and classroom area. So much like the chickens participate in the closed loop systems here on the farm, we're also hoping to engage our students, our volunteers, our visitors in that same closed loop system. So, our students will be doing everything from planting seeds out in the field to cultivating those crops to eventually harvesting the crops and then bringing them up here to the kitchen and cooking a delicious meal And then when the meal's over, taking the food scraps and feeding it to the chickens. And also taking the food scraps down to our compost bin. And yeah, participating in the food system just as much as all of us do here that live on the site. And speaking of projects, we've got another big project that we're hoping to break ground on probably this winter. I know Jessica was talking quite a bit about the CDFA. So we actually got a matching grant from the CDFA from their State Water Efficiency Enhancement Program, or SWEEP program, to engage in a massive overhaul of our water infrastructure here on the land. So we're going to be doing a lot. We're going to be installing a solar-powered off-grid water pump down at the bottom of the property. And we're going to be installing 2 5,000-gallon water tanks for water reserve up at the top of the hill. And that, along with some other infrastructure, is going to help us take our water system off-grid. Especially here in California these days with the increased power outages from the power company and increased chance of wildfire, it's becoming increasingly important for us to have our water infrastructure off-grid so that we can pump water and use water when we need it. And we can still do that regardless of if the power's on or not. So very important. We're also going to be replacing a lot of our overhead sprinkler systems with drip irrigation, which is going to significantly decrease the amount of water that we use here on site. And it's going to ultimately use that water much more effectively. So not only that, we're also going to be able to install drip irrigation on a number of different places where we're not currently irrigating. So for example, right now we're mostly watering in the pollinator garden, out in the fields down here, and then a little bit up in the food forest, but the drip irrigation will allow us to really expand what we're doing up here in the food forest. So yeah, being able to irrigate more of the property will allow us to plant more things and ultimately sequester more carbon in the ground, which is one of the things that we really hope to do here and educate other people on how to do with their properties. And the other thing that the grant allows us to do is install some smart technology into our system as well. So things like installing soil moisture monitors, which will tell us when we need to water and when we don't need to water. So if it's been raining for like a week straight, we don't really need to water nearly as much as we do in the middle of the summer. So yeah, having real-time data on that. And also installing Wi-Fi enabled irrigation timers that'll allow us to control what's being watered and when, whether or not we're on here on site. So that's going to be really important too. That's a game changer. So you can see we're going to be pretty busy this winter and into 2021, but not just in infrastructure-based things, but also we're implementing a lot of educational programming incentives that we've been working on for this past year, and we're really excited to get started on. And to tell you guys more about those things, we've got Rachel up here in the yurt.
Hi, welcome to the yurt. So I get to tell you about some of our educational programming and the cool opportunities that these yurts allow us. I don't know if you've ever been in a yurt before, but they're pretty cool spaces. This one we put up ourselves. It's possible to build them from scratch, but we built it from a kit. We did build the platforms ourselves. That took a while, but the yurts themselves go up pretty quick. We're excited because we just built a third yurt over here, and that gives us some really cool opportunities. That soon will house volunteers. We'll be hosting people from the WOOF program. That's WOOF, Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms. And that's an opportunity for people to come and stay and work on a farm and learn about our processes here while they're staying here, and they can be a part of the community and be a part of life and get to travel and experience and learn and help us grow things. It's also going to house artists and residents, which is really exciting. Artists from all over can come and stay and work on their craft and use this site as inspiration, and also be teaching the community as well. So a way to bring in some new artists and amplify the voices of different diverse artists here on site, also bringing them into the community. Let's see, I'll tell you more, but come on into the year. I'll show you around. Oh yeah, they're really beautiful spaces. A lot of cool light. It's just nice to be in a round space. So we use this a lot as an indoor classroom when people could gather before COVID, and it was a really cozy space for workshops and skill shares. We would hold art events here. Poets would come do readings. We would host a monthly music jam. A monthly writers group would gather here. So it was really a cool multi-use space. But right now, with COVID, we've shifted our programming a bit as everybody's had to pivot. Luckily, since our mission is all about resilience, this has been an opportunity for us to figure out how we can make our community more resilient, more autonomous, especially during these challenging times. So in response to the pandemic and in listening to the needs of our community, we've been working hard to coordinate a new mutual aid network. So I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of mutual aid, but it's the idea that instead of relying on charity, a community can come together to meet its own needs. And what that looks like is a needs matching program. So people who have a need get connected with people who can meet that need. So we've been coordinating those volunteers to connect the need to the resources. So this is a really cool way for, as I was saying, the community we are co-collaborators with the community to be more empowered, more autonomous, more resilient. And what that's looked like specifically with COVID is we've been focused on meeting the needs, especially of some local farm worker communities who have been impacted especially hard by COVID. So we've distributed about 1,695 masks to farm workers locally, and also helped distribute food and supplies and really whatever people need, connecting the need to the resource. So that's the mutual aid network, and there's been a lot of support from the community. We've also shifted some of our programming from being on-site to virtual. So that looks like virtual eco-arts education in local classrooms. So with the support of the San Benito Arts Council, we're in every 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classroom in the district doing eco-arts. So that's hundreds of students every week who are getting really cool arts programming, and we're thrilled to be doing that. We're going to start at a new site soon that's actually pre-K through 8th grade, and that's a whole site that didn't have arts programming before that we get to bring eco-arts education. So we had been in the classroom, and now we're doing it virtually. And that's exciting for those students. And we're working on additional virtual programming for all ages, not just school-age kids, but virtual education about projects we're doing on the farm, skill shares, and sharing what we're learning always with the community. And then, because another need we heard from the community was the need for students to have their social and emotional needs met, since they're glued to a screen these days on Zoom all the time. There was a real need to figure out ways to live with this pandemic and still stay safe and healthy. And we've been trying to figure out how we could get people back on site in ways that are COVID safe. And what we came up with, we're very excited to share with you, is a self-guided, choose your own adventure eco-educational scavenger hunt. And it not only meets some of the standards for the next generation science standards in the schools and art standards in the curriculum, but it's also inspired by things like video games or role-playing games, things that kids these days are really excited about, but taking the coolest elements of those things that happen on screens and bringing it to the real world. So getting people out into the real world, getting their hands dirty on the farm, learning, but also having fun. So that's the goal of this educational scavenger hunt. And the idea is that people can come in their existing COVID pods, so perhaps family groups or school age kids that are already gathering in small groups, or you could come do it in small groups but socially distanced and masked and outdoors, and keep it all safe. And it's self-guided, so it's no contact, and people can kind of choose their own route and do all sorts of different activities here on the farm. So that's super exciting. Let's see, another up and coming thing we want to tell you about. We're working with eco restoration camps to in the spring. We'll get to do a cool project where we will bring together people on the land to learn about some indigenous fire mitigation practices, some indigenous land stewardship practices that the local Wutsunaloni elders are working to coordinate with us. So that's very exciting and timely. And we hope that you will stay in touch and stay involved and keep learning about everything going on here. As you can see, we're as busy as ever, even in these challenging times. So you can always go to our website. It's terracultura.org. You can see our events calendar there. You can sign up to volunteer, and definitely stay in touch and tell us what you want to see here at the farm. So thank you so much for joining us on the tour, and there'll be a chance to ask some questions now. So thank you again.
Thank you all so much for sticking around with us. Really, again, really grateful to have you here. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Anything about anything that came up, or anything we didn't cover, or any questions at all? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or type it in the chat if that's more comfortable for you. Yeah, Barbara.
So I have a question. Given, oh my God, all the things that you guys are doing and how remote most of us are, what can we do that would support your efforts there? Like where would we fit in? How could we help?
Oh, what a lovely question. Who
Mom.
wants to take that? Our mother. Well, there are many opportunities, actually. As Rachel mentioned, there are lots of, we're doing a lot of virtual programming. So, I mean, just showing up and being a part of our community, we love that. And if you are closer by, there are plenty of volunteer opportunities on sites. But if we're also in the middle, as Travis mentioned, we're in the middle of this matching donation campaign to help fund the water infrastructure upgrade that Travis talked about with the SWEEP grant. Do you want to talk more
Sure,
about that?
yeah, exactly. So like I was saying before, the SWEEP grant is kind of our major infrastructure project for next year. And the state grant, we're really pleased. They're giving us about 10,000, but the project costs about 30,000. So it's a matching grant. So we are definitely looking for additional help to get us the full way for that project. So far, I believe we've raised about 7,000. I think we're at about 40% of our goal this year, which is very exciting. But yeah, if you're looking for ways to help us, yeah, the SWEEP project, the water infrastructure project is definitely something that we're focusing on for the end of this year and into next year.
And you can learn more about that. The donate page on our website right now is all about this matching grant opportunity, so you can read more details about that there too.
Yeah, it's at terracultura.org/donate, and Jessica is putting it up on the chat window right now. Perfect.
Oh, and the auction is going on right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, talk about the auction.
Yeah, we're doing a new thing this year called, it's part of San Benito Gives, and it's a way for a bunch of nonprofits in our county. I think there's like 50 participating nonprofits, and we're one of them this year. And it's an online auction, and it's live until November 17th. So I can put that link in the chat too if you wanted to go and check out. It fits a little bit more for local people, but our offerings are at least things you could use on a visit, if anytime in the future. So you could go bid if you wanted to support us that way. There's also a matching opportunity through that. The San Benito Community Foundation is matching
the bids for that. So that's exciting. I'll put the link. Let me find it.
Cool.
And if you want to help out in other ways, we're always grateful for volunteers. There are lots of volunteer opportunities remotely as well. So so many ways to get involved. Thanks for asking.
How do you volunteer remotely?
Oh, good question. Well, we currently have 3 interns. Jessica here is one of our interns, and most of the work they're doing is remote currently. So let's see, Jessica, for example, has been planning a raised garden bed for us, doing research on herbs and plants that will go up by our outdoor kitchen. We have an intern who's developing a marketing plan for us for one of our new programs. Another intern is helping with some curriculum development for our program. So there's lots of kind of research and development possibilities. What are some other remote volunteer opportunities?
Those are pretty good ones. Yeah, there are lots of ways to plug in, both here on site and virtually. I think the first step is to get in touch with us and let us know that you're interested.
Also, hi, Aunt Michelle. Thanks for coming.
Hi, this is my first time seeing the farm. I'm in awe, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm gonna cry.
Aww. Well, we hope you can come in person someday. Here's the link.
Yes, sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, any other questions on anything you saw?
I have a question about what you're planning. So you talked about cover crops. Are those also winter vegetables, or did you not do that this year?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. This year we decided I'll let Jessica talk a little bit more about this when she's done typing, but we have 2 fields, and we decided to do a winter cover crop in one, and to do winter vegetables in the other. So Jessica remembers better than me what all vegetables we planted.
Yeah, we just planted, some herbs, some borage, a bunch of different winter greens, so chard and kale and lettuces and spinach. We've got some onion and carrot that we planted. We did a lot of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and hoping to do some Brussels sprouts if we're not too late.
And the flowers.
You're right.
Yeah, talk about the cover crop.
And then with the cover crop mix, we did an edible cover crop mix, which is all like peas and beans of different varieties, and then California native wildflower mix, which we're hoping we're hoping to start a farm stand pretty soon. We're hoping we'll be able to maybe sell bouquets or allow people to come harvest their own bouquets. So if you want to come volunteer and take a bouquet home, we would love that. And then we also did some crimson clover, which we've just had really great luck with. It grows really well here and is beautiful and attracts lots of pollinators.
And it's a nitrogen fixer.
And it's a nitrogen fixer. Yeah, all of these, all the legumes, the beans and the peas are also nitrogen fixers. So it's really about getting kind of rehabilitating the soil, re-upping the nutrients in there that were used up over the last season's crops. So really about kind of keeping that soil ecosystem healthy, which makes everything else more resilient. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and you did a whole lot more than I did. I'm just saying.
Add that in the auction.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just adding the lots that our offerings for the auction are. So if you go to this website and you are moved to donate, those are the ones that we are.
Great. Let's see. Oh, also, we're hoping to have a greenhouse very soon. So we are, the days pass very quickly these days. So thinking about our spring crop already. If anyone has any requests or any ideas about things we should start growing in the spring, feel free to drop those in the chat too. We always love to grow, the veggies that people are most excited about. So any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi. So can people like me living in a different country, can we take advantage of your educational programs?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the initiatives that we're working on right now is moving a lot of our educational resources online. It's something that a lot of the school district has asked us about. Basically taking some of the in classroom experiences and curriculum that we developed last year and making it available online. So that's something we're working on right now. We're about to film a bunch of like short YouTube videos about various subjects, both related to agriculture and arts. So little things that we're doing here on the farm, like for example, probably a video on like carbon sequestration, and a video on rainwater collection, and a video on composting, and a video on chickens, and yeah, things are going on here on the farm. We're about to film a bunch of those, so we'll keep you posted on that for sure.
And if
Great.
there's anything you, Mercedes, or anybody wants to see in particular, let us know. Write it in the chat. Get in touch, because we'd love to give you exactly what you want.
Also, I'll drop our email in the chat also. So if anyone thinks of anything later on, we would love to hear from you. So feel free to email us anytime.
Okay.
I have one last question, which is, when will the Create Your Own Adventure, when do you imagine starting that?
Really soon. We're almost ready. We'll probably early next month, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, I think our goal is to have that ready and running before the end of the year. So stay tuned.
Well, any other questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Crystal.
Hey, so for the pollinator garden, are any of those native such that maybe you could stop adding, having to water them in the future after they get established? Or
Yes,
Absolutely.
good
Go for it.
question. And absolutely, almost everything in the pollinator garden and in our hedgerows also are the plants are low water or native. So they need water for the first 3 years or so to get established. And once they're established, we won't need to irrigate anymore. So yeah, another way to kind of conserve resources and water in that way, which is so precious in California.
great.
Good question. Any other questions?
One more.
Sure.
Yeah.
So after COVID, do you take international volunteers to live there inside?
That is a great question. Yeah, so I think Rachel was mentioning up by the yurt that we have 3 yurts here on site, and one of them is devoted specifically for volunteer housing. So we are about to become members of the WOOF program. So that's Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, and it's basically Jessica's gonna.
Oh no, I was
Oh,
just gonna
I thought you
respond
were
to
gonna type
ours.
it in the
Sorry,
chat there.
but I can do that too.
Yeah, it's basically a work exchange program, and it's an international program. So we will be opening that year up to volunteers and anybody willing to basically trade some work hours out in the field and learning about some of the practices that we implement here in exchange for room and board. We're very excited to be able to start doing that very soon. I think COVID is a barrier. We're kind of waiting for that, but yeah, we're excited to start that, definitely. So
Yes,
if
please
you're
come.
interested, yeah,
We would love to have you.
Yeah, that would be great.
cool.
So fun.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to say thank you for what you guys are doing. I'm Jessica's son, and I've been working on the illustrations and the designs I've been doing for her. And I gotta say, as a concept artist, working with people like you, it's been seriously cool because we don't have the chance to make an impact in society as much as we want to. So thank you for letting me work with you guys. It's been really, really good.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you here. Yeah, we've been admiring Gonzalo's artwork. Jessica is an intern, and he's been helping her, and he's made the most beautiful images that kind of mix I know it seems like you've taken inspiration from photos you've seen, but also since you've never been here, you bring in a wonderful, fantastical dream element that's sort of this ideal of what the site could be. And your art is very inspiring to us as well. So thank you.
Yeah, keep an eye out for his art on our website, and
Right.
if you want to drop a link, Gunzo, in to where else people can see your art, that would
Feel
be
free to do it in the
fine.
chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be happy
definitely.
to send people your way too.
All right. Thanks a lot. And yeah, I really wanted to say that I'm really inspired for what you guys are doing. And when I was doing the artwork, I was trying to put that inspiration and that social impact that you guys are having into the piece, and what it could be for other people that want to come to the farm and get inspired. Because to me, farming industry and agriculture industry is like one of the most important in the world and in any country, right? So we do have to get new young farmers inspired and interested on this in this industry. So yeah, thanks for what you guys are doing. I'm glad I can put a little bit of my piece there so I can help you guys. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you
Thank
Thank
so
you.
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
So from that, from what Gonzalo was just talking about, is there a way for artists to contribute to some kind of storefront that could or would benefit the farm and what you're doing,
That is a very
like
interesting.
using the talents that we have,
What a beautiful idea.
supporters.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a fantastic idea. We've talked about having more of a storefront. We have a virtual farm store on our website just with Terra Cultura swag, but it'd be cool to have some artwork. That would be incredible.
Yeah, Michelle, I think we should probably talk offline. That sounds like a really good idea. Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little marketplace.
I love it.
Cool.
What a beautiful
Thank you.
idea.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Cool.
I'll
Oh.
ask really quick.
Yeah.
Wondering what is your favorite thing about Terra Cultura in this coming season? What is something that you've gotten to know about the land that you look forward to seeing as it gets colder? I'm answering, but I'd imagine rain.
Definitely.
It's a great question. I was actually just talking to a neighbor about this. It's interesting because in this region of California, winter is kind of when everything comes back to life. So in a lot of the country, everything kind of turns brown and dead in the winter, but here everything gets green and the flowers start blooming, and kind of late winter, early spring, this area is just like covered in native grasses and lupin and wildflowers, and it's really beautiful. So we'll have to have you all back once it turns green and lush again. It's really nice, but that's what I'm excited about.
Let's see. For me, summer and fall are always just insanely frantically busy around here, and I'm hoping, we'll see, but that maybe things will get to slow down a little bit in the winter, and we can I always hope to do a little bit more like research and development and dream a little bit more about the future. So we just had a little staff retreat where we got to sort of step back and get some perspective and think about where we really want things to go. And I always think winter is a good time for dreaming and building up what's next. I'm always especially excited about arts programming.
Yeah, I totally agree with those two answers. I also, just on a personal level, the cooler temperatures are very nice. It's especially in the last couple of years, fall has really turned into summer 2.0. And right before this cold front came in, like just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were experiencing like 90-degree days out in the field. And now we're down more like to 60, and it's much more manageable to be out in the field and working outside. So that's one of my favorite things about winter. That's just a personal thing though.
Thanks for that, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Carolyn is our board president, and she is amazing. Just such a powerhouse and an inspiration. She gets things done. So shout out to her.
And Ty is still here
And
too.
Ty is also
next to us,
Ty
I think,
is
on our...
another is Carolyn's father, and they're such an amazing family, and they've been so supportive, and they're just everybody's dream to have in your corner. So Ty and Annette and Carolyn, your whole family.
Your whole family is like all around us in the Zoom window. It's really funny.
Yeah, you are all a dream, and we're so grateful. And our families are here too. Our mom Barbara and Kathy is here. And some old family friends and some people we grew up with, Jackie, Tolly, and Crystal Kaplan.
And our Aunt
Thank you,
Michelle.
our dear Aunt Michelle. Yeah, and all of you. So thank you, everybody, for your support, new friends and old.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful to see your faces and to feel your support. And we're just really grateful.
And thank you, Elvia, for your message. We're so glad you're here. We wouldn't be here without Elvia. She was our realtor that found this piece of land for us.
That's
so
right.
Thank you, Elvia. I'm so glad to have you.
None of this could happen without you. So all of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know where to find us if you have any other questions. If you think of anything.
Please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to hear from all of you. And thank you so much again for spending your afternoon with us.